Item 2. Management's discussion and analysis of financial condition and results of operations. We are a leading, vertically integrated provider of fiber optic networking products. We target 4 networking end markets: Internet and AI data centers, CATV, telecom, and FTTH. We design and manufacture a range of optical communications products at varying levels of integration, from components, subassemblies, and modules to complete turnkey equipment. In designing products for our customers, we typically begin with the fundamental building blocks of lasers and laser components. From these foundational products, we design and manufacture a wide range of products to meet our customers' needs and specifications, and such products differ from each other by their end market, intended use, and level of integration. We are primarily focused on the higher performance segments within the Internet data center, CATV, telecom, and FTTH markets, which increasingly demand faster connectivity and innovation. The 4 end markets we target are all driven by significant bandwidth demand, fueled by the growth of artificial intelligence, AI, cloud computing, network-connected devices, video traffic, and online social networking. Within the data center market, AI workloads are fueling the retooling of existing data centers and the construction of purpose-built data centers for AI, in both cases significantly increasing demand for higher-speed optical networking technology. Existing Internet data centers are also being upgraded with higher-speed optical networking equipment to support ever-increasing data traffic. Within the CATV market, we benefit from a number of ongoing trends, including the move to higher bandwidth networks among CATV service providers, especially the desire by CATV multiple system operators, MSOs, to increase the return path bandwidth available to offer to their customers. In the FTTH market, we benefit from continuing passive optical networks PON deployments and system updates among telecom service providers. In the telecom market, we benefit from deployment of new high-speed fiber optic networks by telecom network operators, including 5G networks. We design, manufacture, and integrate our own analog and digital lasers using a proprietary molecular beam epitaxy, MBE, and metal organic chemical vapor deposition, MOCVD, alternative processes for the fabrication of lasers. We believe the use of both processes and our knowledge of how to combine these processes with others to fabricate lasers is unique in our industry. We manufacture the majority of the laser chips and optical components that are used in our products. The lasers we manufacture are tested extensively to enable reliable operation over time, and our devices are often highly tolerant of changes in temperature and humidity, making them well suited to the CATV, FTTH, and 5G telecom markets, where networking equipment is often installed outdoors. All of our laser chips are manufactured in our facility in Sugar Land, Texas. We believe that our domestic production capacity for these devices gives us a competitive advantage over many of our competitors, as we believe that many of our customers prefer to source key components from suppliers who have domestic manufacturing capacity. We have 3 manufacturing sites: Sugar Land, Texas, Ningbo, China, and Taipei, Taiwan. Our research and development functions are generally partnered with our manufacturing locations, and we have an additional research and development facility in Duluth, Georgia. In our Sugar Land facility, we manufacture laser chips, utilizing our MBE and an MOCVD processes, transceivers for the Internet data center market, subassemblies, and components. The subassemblies are used in the manufacture of components by our other manufacturing facilities or sold to third parties as modules. We manufacture our laser chips only within our Sugar Land facility, where our laser design team is located. In our Taiwan location, we manufacture optical components, such as our butterfly lasers, which incorporate laser chips, subassemblies, and components manufactured within our Sugar Land facility. Additionally, in our Taiwan location, we manufacture transceivers for the Internet data center, telecom, FTTH, and other markets. We also manufacture CAT-TV outdoor equipment, including amplifiers. In our China facility, we do certain assembly operations on various products, including some optical subassemblies and transceivers for the CAT-TV transmitters at the head end, some CAT-TV outdoor equipment and transceivers for our Internet data center market. The extent of the assembly operations in our China facility do not always establish the country of origin for these products, as China, for U.S. tariff purposes. Each manufacturing facility conducts testing on the components, modules, or subsystems it manufactures, and each facility is certified to ISO 9001-2015. Our facilities in Ningbo, China, Taipei, Taiwan, and Sugar Land, Texas, are all certified to ISO 14001-2015. We have recently announced plans to expand our manufacturing space in and around the Sugar Land, Texas area, and are currently in the process of building out suitable facilities for this expansion. We expect the first of these new facilities to begin production later in 2026. Demand for our data center products remained strong during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, driven by continued investments by hyperscale customers in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and high-speed networking infrastructure. We experienced significant growth in sales of data center products during the period, reflecting increased customer deployments and demand for higher-speed optical connectivity solutions. Revenues for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, increased by $89.0 million, or 86.4%, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Revenues for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, increased by $140.3 million, or 69.2%, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. For the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026 and 2025, our top 10 customers represented 99% and 98% of our revenue, respectively. For the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026 and 2025, our top 10 customers represented 99% and 97% of our revenue, respectively. Cost of goods sold increased by $66.9 million, or 93.2%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Cost of goods sold increased by $104.8 million, or 74.3%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Gross margin decreased to 27.7% for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to 30.3% for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Despite the decrease in gross margin percentage, gross profit increased by $22.0 million, or 70.7%, driven by higher revenues. Gross margin decreased to 28.3% for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to 30.4% for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Despite the decrease in gross margin percentage, gross profit increased by $35.4 million, or 57.4%, driven by higher revenues. Research and development expense increased by $14.3 million, or 69.2%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Research and development expense increased by $22.1 million, or 57.5%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Sales and marketing expense increased by $3.4 million, or 41.2%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Sales and marketing expense increased by $4.3 million, or 32.2%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. General and administrative expense increased by $13.2 million, or 71.7%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. General and administrative expense increased by $21.8 million, or 62.7%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Interest income increased by $3.0 million, or 1,035.7%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Interest income increased by $4.5 million, or 875.5%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Interest expense increased by $0.1 million, or 13.3%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Interest expense increased by $0.4 million, or 2.2%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. Other income expenses decreased by $6.5 million, or 87.7%, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 3 months ended June 30th, 2025. Other income expenses decreased by $8.1 million, or 102.5%, for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared to the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025. On August 9th, 2022, the Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors Act, CHIPS Act, was enacted. Among its provisions, the bill provides various federal grants, tax credits, and incentives for investment in the United States. To the extent that we make investments in expanding manufacturing in our semiconductor fabrication facility in Texas, we believe that the CHIPS Act would provide a refundable tax credit for certain equipment and facilities upgrades. We made significant investments in the 3 months ended June 30th, 2026, which we believe should qualify for these credits, but we intend to continue to evaluate these and future investments for applicability to the tax credit provisions of the CHIPS Act. On February 26, 2026, the company entered into an equity distribution agreement, the first EDA, with Raymond James & Associates and Needham & Company, LLC, collectively, the sales agents and each a sales agent, pursuant to which the company could issue and sell shares of the company's common stock, par value $0.001 per share, having an aggregate offering price of up to $250 million, the first ATM offering, from time to time through the sales agents. On March 12, 2026, the company entered into Amendment Number 1 to the first EDA with the sales agents to increase the aggregate offering price from $250 million to $500 million. On April 2, 2026, the company completed the first ATM offering and sold approximately 4.8 million shares at a weighted average price of $103.51 per share, providing proceeds of approximately $490 million, net of expenses and underwriting discounts and commissions. On May 14, 2026, the company entered into an equity distribution agreement, the second EDA, with the sales agents pursuant to which the company could issue and sell shares of the company's common stock, par value $0.001 per share, the shares, having an aggregate offering price of up to $600 million, the second ATM offering, from time to time through the sales agents. Net cash used in operating activities was $73.8 million during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, as compared to $116.4 million during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025, a decrease of 36.6%. As of June 30th, 2026, Digicom represented approximately 67.2% of total accounts receivable. This concentration is primarily attributable to customer purchasing patterns, shipment timing, and billing concentration. Management has extended longer than typical payment terms to Digicom in order to ensure Digicom has adequate inventory on hand to quickly provide products to customers when needed for their network builds. For the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, revenues from Digicom were approximately $147.0 million, representing approximately 42.8% of consolidated revenues. These revenues were primarily attributable to the CATV product category. Net cash used in investing activities was $633.7 million during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared with $75.2 million in the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025, an increase of 742.8%, primarily driven by capital expenditures of $335.1 million, which included $169.0 million capital expenditures in the U.S., $62.8 million in Taiwan, and $103.3 million in China. The increase in capital expenditures was primarily attributable to facility expansion and equipment purchases to support increased production capacity for the company's internet data center and broadband product lines, including investments related to quantum bandwidth products and the continued expansion of manufacturing operations for 400G, 800G, and 1.6T transceiver products. Net cash provided by financing activities was $980.3 million during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, compared with $196.0 million in the 6 months ended June 30th, 2025, an increase of 400.2%, primarily attributable to the net proceeds of $1.03 billion from the ATM offering, the net proceeds from line of credit borrowings of $22.2 million, the net proceeds of $1.7 million from issuance of notes payable and long-term debt, partially offset by net proceeds from bank acceptance payable of $0.6 million, and tax payments related to share-based compensation of $71.2 million. On March 13, 2025, we issued a warrant, the customer warrant, to an Amazon affiliate to purchase up to an aggregate of 7,945,399 shares of the company's common stock, warrant shares, at an exercise price of $23.6956 per share. The customer warrant has a contractual term of 10 years. At the time of issuance, the customer warrant is exercisable to purchase 1,324,233 warrant shares. The remaining 6,621,166 warrant shares may vest over the next 10 years, dependent on aggregate purchases by Amazon of $4 billion of our products over this time period. On June 26, 2026, a holder of the company's 2.75% convertible senior notes due 2030, the 2030 notes, converted $75,000 in aggregate principal amount of 2030 notes into 1,731 shares of the company's common stock, based on the applicable conversion rate of 23.0884 shares per $1,000 principal amount of the 2030 notes.